Did you ever look at your pantry and wonder if the Amish walked into your kitchen, what would they quietly push aside? There are some foods you and I likely eat without a second thought, but to the Amish, they simply don't belong on the table. And their reasons. They're often rooted in something deeper than just taste or trend. Let's step into their world and discover why the Amish never eat these 10 common foods. Processed breakfast cereals. You'll find them in just about every American kitchen. Bright boxes that promise energy, vitamins, and a fast start to the day. From sugary loops to flakes fortified with iron, they become a go-to breakfast for millions. Most folks grab them because they're quick and familiar. Just pour a bowl, add milk, and breakfast is done. But for the Amish, these cereals don't belong on the table. They steer clear of processed breakfast cereals for a few simple reasons. First, they're packed with sugar, artificial colors, and preservatives, things the Amish try to avoid altogether. These extra ingredients don't line up with their belief in eating pure, simple food. And then there's the cost. Cereal might be convenient, but it's store-bought and expensive. The Amish would rather make something that's nourishing, homemade, and truly filling. So instead of boxed cereal, they start the day with things like warm oatmeal, farm-fresh eggs, cornmeal mush, or hearty grain porridge sweetened with a little molasses. These aren't just healthier, they're part of a slower, more meaningful morning. One that often begins with quiet, homemade food and the whole family around the table. Soda and sugary soft drinks. They come in bright cans and bottles stacked high in nearly every store. Fizzy, cold, and loaded with flavor, soft drinks are a daily habit for many Americans. But in an Amish household, you won't find them at the dinner table, or anywhere really. The reason? It's not just about sugar or artificial ingredients, though those matter. It's about how disconnected soda feels from the land and the body. The Amish place a deep value on food that's part of life's rhythm, grown, gathered, prepared with care. Soda is the opposite of that. It's factory-made, distant, and designed for impulse, not intention. Drinking soda doesn't match the Amish way of thinking. There's no nourishment, no purpose, just a quick rush that fades fast. And while most people don't think twice before grabbing a can, the Amish pause and ask, "What is this doing for me?" Instead, they turn to drinks with meaning. Cold mint tea in summer. Fresh buttermilk. Water drawn from a deep well. These aren't just refreshments, they're part of a slower, more thoughtful way of living. Nothing flashy, just real. Fast food. For most folks, fast food is part of everyday life. A quick burger on the way home, a drive-through breakfast, maybe fried chicken on a busy weekend. It's cheap, it's fast, and it's everywhere. But for the Amish, the very idea of fast food goes against how they view time, meals, and even family. It's not just about the ingredients, though the processed meats, oils, and artificial additives are certainly things they avoid. It's about what fast food represents, rushing through something that's meant to be meaningful. In Amish homes, meals are not about convenience. They're about gathering, slowing down, and sharing something that came from their own hands or the land around them. You won't see them eating in the car or rushing through dinner in 5 minutes. That kind of eating feels empty to them, both physically and spiritually. Instead, they prepare meals from scratch. Stews made from root vegetables, fresh bread out of the oven, maybe a chicken raised right in the backyard. It takes time, but that time is part of the nourishment. And when the food's ready, the whole family sits together. No phones, no rush, just real food, real people, and the kind of peace you don't get from a paper bag. Margarine and imitation spreads. Margarine was once hailed as the modern alternative to butter. Cheap, spreadable, and full of lab-made promise. But to the Amish, margarine is just another man-made substitute that strays from nature. They prefer real butter, churned from cream collected from their own cows. It's a product of effort and connection to the land, not a plastic tub from the store. And if there's no butter, lard, rendered from their own hogs, takes its place in cooking and baking. These fats not only taste better to them, but reflect the Amish value of using every part of what they raise. Interestingly, lard is making a comeback in non-Amish kitchens too, as people rediscover its natural qualities and rich flavor compared to hydrogenated alternatives. Butter making is often a family chore, with children taking turns with a churn, another example of how food is tied to togetherness. Pre-packaged snacks, chips, cookies, candy. Most of us have a bag of chips or a sleeve of cookies tucked away in a cupboard. But in Amish homes, these packaged snacks are rarely found. Why? These snacks are filled with preservatives, artificial colors, and empty calories. More than that, they disconnect people from the process of food making. Buying a snack in a shiny wrapper can never replace the joy of pulling fresh cookies from an oven. The Amish make snacks the old-fashioned way. Popcorn popped over the stove with a bit of real butter and salt, molasses cookies from a family recipe, dried fruits from their gardens, or even jerky from their own cured meats. Even their candy is often homemade, like peanut brittle or maple sugar candies made during syrup season. These aren't just treats, they're memories, often tied to family events, community gatherings, or church socials. Store-bought bread. To many, bread is just another grocery item. White wheat, multigrain, grab and go. But the Amish see bread as a cornerstone of the home. Buying it in plastic from the store takes away something sacred, the process. They bake their own, often using heirloom recipes passed down through generations. Amish bread is thick, soft, and slightly sweet, a labor of love that fills the home with the smell of yeast and family. And what's more, homemade bread uses basic, pronounceable ingredients, no preservatives or conditioners here. Baking is often done in large batches. On baking day, it's not uncommon to see 10 or more loaves cooling on racks, ready to be shared, gifted, or frozen for the week ahead. The rhythm of kneading, rising, and baking is one of presence and patience. Artificial sweeteners. In the quest to cut calories, many turn to aspartame, sucralose, or saccharin. These sweeteners pop up in diet sodas, sugar-free treats, and even gum. But not in Amish kitchens. Artificial sweeteners are highly processed and often synthetic. The Amish stick to natural alternatives when they need sweetness. Raw honey from their own hives, molasses, or real maple syrup. These aren't just sweeteners, they're traditions. And they carry benefits that align with their lifestyle. Natural, whole, and rooted in the earth. Molasses, for example, is a common pantry item, often used in shoe-fly pie, a traditional Amish dessert. Maple syrup comes from tapping trees in the late winter, a community event for many Amish settlements. Honey is harvested with care and respect for the bees, often smoked gently from hives maintained by the family. Canned soups and meals. Pop, pour, heat, eat. Canned soups and meals are a staple in many modern kitchens. But Amish women spend hours canning their own soups, stews, vegetables, and meats. Why? Because store-bought canned goods often contain preservatives, flavor enhancers like MSG, and ingredients they can't pronounce. And because when you grow your own food, you learn how to preserve it naturally. Instead of reaching for a can of chicken noodle, the Amish open jars of homemade vegetable soup, beef stew, or chicken broth from chickens they raise themselves. Canning isn't just about food preservation. It's an act of preparation, resilience, and stewardship. It teaches patience, encourages zero waste, and strengthens generational ties as recipes and techniques are passed down. Canning bees, where families gather to preserve food together, are common in tight-knit Amish communities. Breakfast bars and protein shakes. These days, you can walk into any grocery store and find a wall full of bars and shakes, each claiming to fuel your body, boost your energy, or replace a full meal in one go. They're packaged to look healthy, smart, even essential. But the Amish don't buy into that kind of promise. Not because they're against nutrition, but because they don't trust food that needs a label to explain itself. To them, if you have to read a long list of added vitamins and lab-made proteins, it's already too far from nature. Amish cooking is based on ingredients their grandparents recognized: eggs, oats, grains, milk, not soy protein isolate or natural flavorings. They also question the idea of replacing a meal with something designed in a factory. For generations, Amish families have believed that how you start your day matters. A quiet morning, hot breakfast, something that came from your own kitchen, that sets the tone for the work ahead. And a bar pulled from a wrapper. It doesn't carry the same weight. So instead of protein drinks and breakfast bars, they stick to what's familiar and real. Maybe a slice of homemade bread with cheese. Maybe some leftover potatoes fried in a pan. It's not trendy, and it doesn't have to be. It's food they understand, and food that understands them back. Frozen dinners. They're lined up in every freezer aisle, pre-cooked meals sealed in plastic trays. Pop them in the microwave, and 10 minutes later, dinner's ready. For many Americans, frozen dinners offer convenience, especially after a long day. But the Amish steer clear of frozen meals, not because they're against modern appliances, but because these meals go against the values they hold close: self-reliance, stewardship, and purpose in every step of preparing food. Frozen dinners are built for detachment. Someone else cooked them, packaged them, and decided what went in them. There's no connection to the land, no story behind the ingredients, no memory in the making. Amish families believe food should come from what they've grown, raised, or bartered for. It's about knowing how to feed yourself, not just how to heat something up. They're not strangers to hard work in the kitchen. In fact, they welcome it. Preparing a meal from scratch is a chance to be careful with what they've harvested, to waste nothing, and to serve others with intention. And practically speaking, frozen meals rely on electricity and long-term freezing, things the Amish often avoid or use sparingly. Meals in their homes are based on seasonality and preservation: root vegetables in winter, fresh greens in spring, canned and dried goods from their own pantry year-round. So instead of plastic trays and instant entrees, they turn to homemade soups, baked casseroles, or fried cabbage and potatoes. The meals might take longer, but they're rooted in responsibility, and that's something no freezer can replicate. So, why does all this matter? Because food isn't just about what's on the plate. It's about how it got there, who made it, where it came from, and what it means to us. The Amish avoid these common foods not because they're trying to be different, but because they're trying to be intentional. Every meal in their home is an act of love for the earth, for tradition, for family. It's not always fast. It's rarely convenient. But it's full of meaning. And maybe that's something we can carry with us too. You don't need to throw out your pantry or trade your oven for a wood stove. But perhaps as we watch the Amish live so fully in the moment, with their hands in the soil and their hearts in the kitchen, we can take a step closer to that kind of life. More bread made by hand. More meals eaten together. More time spent knowing where our food comes from. You don't have to live off the grid to live with intention. Sometimes the most radical thing we can do is slow down and eat like we mean it.